Bless day, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Caribbean Cannabis channel. And each episode we always bring something different for you, different guests, a different energy, and obviously a different topic. Like as I would have been mentioned to you already starting, we're trying to get the different areas or the different pillars that actually holding up the cannabis industry, not just in the region, but also we have a diaspora. We have international listeners and international guests. And today we're doing a treat because we know one of the main pillars and a lot of things a person is actually interested in is the plant and how the plant grows, how you interact with the plant. And I have here, he's an excellent grower. I haven't tasted his buds as yet, but just from seeing the passion that he highlights his bud and his growing on Instagram, I'm sure that he'll definitely be able to bring us into his grow tent, though we may not necessarily be physically there. So just help me welcome my brother from ICAM THC, Matt.
Oh yeah.
How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks a lot for that introduction, bro. It's awesome. It's awesome to kick it with you as well, man. I think we got a lot in common, so I'm excited. I'm excited, bro.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a minute since we've been like following each other on social media, looking at each other's work. And I remember the first time actually when I followed you, because I was just seeing your plants showed up on my explore page, I think, and I was like, damn, this man buds are fresh. Then I started looking more onto the page. I see that he's actually growing and his buds fine. The terps, he's talking about the terps, he's talking about the cannabinoids, he's talking about all different aspects of it, but currently, before we actually get into that, we always love to share with our guests where we are joining them from. Currently, I'm in Turks and Caicos Basin. But
Yeah.
where are you joining us from today, Matt?
Today I'm in Colorado, so I'm actually kicking it out in Colorado. But earlier this year I was actually living out in the Caribbean, so I'm actually from Trinidad and Tobago. So uh, a little bit of a change in terms of growing environment, but nonetheless, it's still pretty dope.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, and probably like what we'll say one of the epicenters of cannabis in
Yeah.
America, man. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to actually start. You said you came from the Caribbean. You in Trinidad. Big up Trinidad. All the
Big up.
Chinis that doing it big outside of Trinidad. But what was the experience going from Trinidad to Denver and experiencing the cannabis industry there?
It was different. It was completely different, man. As you would probably know, Trinidad legalized, well, decriminalized pretty recently. So in that sense, I was able to get a little bit of a kickstart before I actually came out here. So I was able to, grow a couple plants, just see how things went, and that's where I started to, just realize like maybe I can do something a little bigger. Maybe I can dream big. Just gotta dream big,
Mhm.
and then we flew out. We came out here because my wife is actually from the U.S. So we came out here, and I was like, I always wanted to go back out because I lived in the UK for a little bit. For about 5 years, I lived in Manchester and Southampton. So I always wanted to fly back out at some point, and just experience things again. And you got one life to live, dude. So I pretty much was like, okay, fuck it. I booked a one-way flight and flew out, man. And my wife and I we flew out here, and it's completely different, man. When it comes to like just the whole kind of scene compared to Trinidad and the Caribbean is completely different. If we're even talking the growing scene, it's also completely different environments, completely different. So it's a lot of differences. But there were things that I was able to take across that just helped me, develop as I go along this journey. So it's so far so good, man. So far so good.
Yeah, that's a positive mindset to have, man. You just say, you know what? I started in Trinidad, but who says the sky is the limit? I want to go beyond the sky as well and just continue doing your thing. And I'm not too sure where you would have started, but what really inspired you to start to grow, and what was the inspiration behind that?
A good question, bro. I actually grew my first plant, like first cannabis plant, out in the UK. It was a completely uh illegal grow. You're not supposed to be doing that out there at all. But I took a little bit of a chance, man, and I grew it in a closet, and I grew a whole plant, seed all the way to flower and everything. I had two, and one of them turned out to be a male, so that in itself was like a learning curve for me, learning about this male plant and pollen and all that stuff. But I literally just grew that had that one run, and then I stopped. I flew back to Trinidad after I finished my schooling and whatever, man, and I just did not grow anything, man. I did not grow any plants because it's super legal. It was super legal for a while to grow plants and stuff until they decriminalized. And before that, I always grew like regular plants. I was interested in
Mhm.
stuff. And my mom is in the garden and stuff. She would take me out, and we'll be transplanting little plants into small holes. And I just like to see those stuff. So it always interested me. But when it came to like the medicinal plants, it like just sort of took off, man. It was a whole nother ball game.
Next
So
level.
yeah, literally, man. And what was a big part of it for me, just was the amount of money that I can save. Learning to be self sufficient. That was a big thing for me, man, because I was finding myself spending a lot of money out there. Living out in the Caribbean, man, you got to spend a lot of money on like, to get exotic flower, to get some what we would call high grade, or to get some
Mhm.
Kush, some loud. But a lot of the time that was being imported, being brought in, so you got to pay top dollar, and that can really hurt the pocket, man. So a lot of the times I'd find myself, smoking a good old creepy, some colo, mixing that down with some loud or something, man, and you know, throw it in a roll on, and you're good to go. But after that, I was like, this is not really sufficient. They said we can grow now. We can grow 4 plants. Like, why am I still buying the shit, bro? So I gotta, I gotta figure out, So I just took a chance and I grew some plants, man. And that's how it all started, man.
Well, I'm seeing linkages that's happening, but first of all, I'm just say there's no shame to you and no one who's possibly growing illegally. We've all been there. I mean, most of us who actually supporting legalization and have the right to do so now, at one point in time it was illegal. So much
Yeah,
respect to you, man. We all had to come from somewhere.
yeah,
But and seeing that's how you have that connection to growing through your mother and gardening, and you were able to actually take that passion, so to speak, and tie it into cannabis. It's inspirational because a lot of conversations I have with persons think that they need to come from some education in cannabis to actually start growing or start extraction. But really and truly, when you look at it, cannabis is nature, and
yeah,
it encompasses so many different aspects of our regular day-to-day life that we don't necessarily need to separate the two, but we can bring them together. And it's great that you were able to do that. So in terms of growing in Denver now a lot of people think that Denver it's a free for all land, so to speak. But what's actually happening on the ground in Denver compared to what we may be seeing on the media?
yeah. It's really eye opening, man. There are a lot of dispose, as you can imagine, a lot of flour, a lot of extracts, a lot of concentrates. All that stuff is everywhere, but there are also a lot of laws. You got to follow the laws. You got to stick by it. So it's not really a free for all, so to speak. You really gotta pay attention to the laws. You got the plant counts if you're growing. Even if you're just buying at the dispo, you can only get 1 ounce a day legally. So you can't go in there and get like an ounce of flour and some gummies and some distillate. They'll be like, no, you can only get the ounce of flour, and
Oh,
they're
okay.
really pretty strict as well. So if you come in there, like I go in there with my wife, or I go in there with a friend, they're like, you can't swap any money in there. You got to literally have your own cash. You go to an ATM, you get your own cash. You can't take out and, exchange money. No one can be like, yo, bless me a $15, yo, and I'm gonna hit you back after. You can't do that in there. They're really strict about that.
Wow.
So there's some little small things that you sort of notice, and you just got to align yourself with. But it's really nice, man. It's one of the first states that actually went legal in the U.S. over here. So they're one of the pioneers, so to speak, of the canna industry. They've been at it a long time. I went out to a couple events and stuff. That was awesome. But just because they've been at it for such a long time, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of dispensaries and stuff. So you can get stuff at really competitive prices. There's literally billboards, dude. Like I was at a fast food drive-through recently, and there was a billboard up there, and it's like $59, $49 ounces. Cheaper than gas. So it's really just very like out there, and they don't hide it. They're not ashamed of it. They make revenue from it. They appreciate it as a business, as an industry, and it's really booming. So it's really great to see, man. And in comparison to some other states I've went to that have more recently legalized, they're just not got as many dispensaries, has not got as many laws put in places yet to properly regulate it. So you can find yourself paying like $80 for 3.5, out in Chicago. Whereas here in Colorado, I can get like an ounce for $50. So it's a bit of a difference.
Yo, hey, in the disparity, some of us probably like trying to wrap our heads around the price because, like, right, we're short I'm at right now. In terms of like buying a 3.5, I'm going to be paying close to $50 for that's US by the way. I'm
Yeah,
going to be paying $50 for a 3.5, and to hear you're getting an ounce for like $50. And I'm sure it may not be the most high quality, but just it's I'm sure it will be higher than what we're receiving here. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's
it
some good
definitely
stuff.
sounds like a cannabis world for the lovers, man. Now, seeing as how you're growing, how does growing actually work in Denver, Colorado for you?
Well, in all of the different areas, they got different like laws, so different states have different laws, different places within those states, you got to abide by different laws and stuff. So here where we're at is pretty similar in that you got like a max plant count, and you can grow indoors, you can grow outdoors, but if you're growing outdoors, you want to make sure that you got it fenced off and that sort of stuff. But just in
Mm-hmm.
terms of environment, I think that was probably the biggest difference for me. So a lot of the times in the Caribbean, things are super humid. You probably know, man. You lived out there. You would see like a lot of bud rot. That's a common problem out there. A lot of people get bud
Correct,
rot.
yeah.
It's a lot of the moisture in the air and the humidity that causes that. So when I was growing out in the Caribbean, I had to run my AC 24/7. I had to have a big ass dehumidifier draining straight outdoors. Like into a big ass bucket. It was just a lot. Just to keep that humidity down and avoid some of those issues. But up here, it's super dry, bro. So whereas I was kicking it at like 75% RH in the Caribbean, here
Mm-hmm.
it's you can get it at 30% RH. So it's a complete difference, man. So for me, when I started off with my seedlings and stuff, that was a bit of a learning curve. I lost a lot more seedlings here than I did in the Caribbean just because of that humidity. You got to always keep a dome on. You got to spray it a lot more. You just can't take a little bit of those liberties that you would take, before I would just pop the seedlings into a veg room and they'll sprout and they'll grow, But here you got to really pay attention to it, man. That shit dries out super quick. The water literally gets extracted from the soil, dude. Like I'm watering daily at points, So that's a little bit of a difference, and also the temperature, man. So it's a little bit colder, as you can imagine, and that's something that I found has really brought out some nice colors. Now that we're heading into winter again, I'm seeing some nice colors on some slurricane that I've got coming out that I was not seeing in summer. So that's pretty cool. Just the changes, the colder temperatures bring out those nice colors. So it's pretty cool to see, and I still got a long way to go.
That's great to hear, man. But are you so? Is that meaning that you're growing mainly outdoors right now, or you do both indoors and outdoor?
No, I'm indoor. I'm not growing outdoor. I just don't got the belly for it, man. And outdoors, there I know I got a lot of pests outdoors as well. I have a rose bush out there with spider mites. They got fucking all sorts of stuff, dude. So I literally brought in some beneficial insects, a bunch of ladybugs and shit, and set them free on the rose bush. But I'm not playing with those insects, bro. I'm not playing.
Wow, yes, like insects here. From I remember when I actually grew my first four plants after the decriminalization law passed, and I'm not too sure how it's across there, but like as my buds, I mean my buds, my plants past seeded stage and it reached vegetative stage, like the pests just came out of from nowhere and like trying to control it at that point. Yeah, it was crazy. So I'm not too sure how the pests work out there as well.
Yeah, they're pretty wild, man. You got a lot of different ones. Like back home, I would see a lot of leaf miners, but
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones that you would.
Spider mites.
Yeah, spider mites a lot too. We get a lot of spiders up here in general, so spider mites they that just carries on, I sort of think. But we also get like some of the fungus gnats. That's a real problem. So I got some fungus gnats indoors. Since then, I'm battling that shit. So you're probably seeing like some of my Instagram pictures, a layer of perlite over top. That's like to lay eggs in that moist medium, So I'm still learning as I go, dude, but I'm really trying to stay away from those pests and bugs and stuff. And preventative maintenance is like big for that. So I'm just in there every day, spraying down, doing a little something, and just trying to make sure everything's clean and staying away from the outdoors.
Uh, Great, great man. And I see now you're talking about things that you are learning, things that you are learning to stay away from. What are some of the major lessons that you learned so far just dealing with the plant itself?
Oh man, patience, bro. Patience is a big one, dude. I've done a lot of stuff. I fucked up a lot just by being impatient, you know. And patience can come in a lot of different forms. So I'm talking, your plants are growing fine. You want them to grow a little bit faster, so you feed them a little bit more. Bam, overfeeding. You know, you don't need to overfeed them if they're growing fine. A lot of the times, like you mentioned earlier in the show, man, these plants have been growing for a long time without human intervention. They've been growing a lot of plants, a lot of different plants, not even just medicinal plants. A lot of different plants. They grow naturally, and they figured out a way to make it work. So the less you do sometimes is the better for the plant. And I've learned that the hard way. So be patient. Don't overfeed it. Don't overwater it. My first plant I grew was a small autoflower in a massive, massive pot. You know, think of things like relative. Big, big, big pot may not always be the greatest for a small autoflower. Little stuff like that. So patience comes in a lot. Even like when you want to harvest, man. I've flipped things to flower too early. I've harvested too early, and you sort of shoot yourself in the foot. The bud does not come out as nice as it could have. You could have left it for a couple of weeks longer. They swell up a little bit more. Even when you flip the flower too early, just being impatient. I want to get some flowers. I want to get some buds. The plant has not achieved the structure that I want it to achieve, but I want flowers, man. So I'm flipping. And when I flip, I'm like, damn, well, this is a pretty small plant. So now I've wasted like 3 months on this process when I could have waited a little bit longer and veg, gotten a bigger plant, and my flower lasts me longer after harvest. I don't gotta hit the dispo, I don't gotta hit the block, I don't gotta buy weed from anyone. I got my own self-sufficient shit still running. So a lot of it is patience, man. It comes down to patience, and you learn a lot, man. Your first grow may not be the easiest, it may not be the best, it may be the worst. My first grow, I harvested 7 grams, bro. 7 grams, and after like drying, it was probably even less than that, bro. So, yeah, you don't do good the first time, but just keep on growing, and you'll get better at it. And don't let anyone bring you down, man. Just keep on growing.
Patience and keeping on your own focus.
Yeah,
But really and truly, if you continuously thinking about what the next person is doing, how much, as you said, if you want to flip it and make money back from it, you are doing yourself a disservice and you also do the plant a disservice
yeah,
because you're not allowing it to reach its full potential. And as you said, sometimes doing less is better than doing more. So it's all about learning the plant. Because my first grow was terrible. Yeah, my first grow was terrible.
same.
My second grow, it was better. Probably not the greatest it could have been,
Yeah,
but it definitely was better. But I learned a lot about the plant, about patience, and just allowing it to be. Just allowing the plant to be. And when you finish grow and you actually consume your product, I'm not too sure about you, but it's a whole different feeling, a whole different experience you get compared to going in the dispensary or
yeah.
buying from the block and these different things, man.
Yeah, I prefer my
So,
own homegrown. And you mentioned something as well, like you see a lot of people, posting pictures and stuff on Instagram. Don't let any of that stuff bring you down, man. I was kicking it with Beast Coast Grower recently, and he was talking about that same thing as well, man. A lot of pictures out here, people don't know they're heavily edited, man. So you looking at this, you're like, why
ooh,
why can't I grow this great flower? Why do my plants look like shit, bro? But a lot of the times your plants aren't shit. You just got to keep growing, and those pics are heavily edited. So don't worry about it, and don't let it bring you down, man. Just keep on growing.
exactly. It's all about the patience and holding your own because Instagram is a liar, as we all know. Everybody's all about the bag appeal, but when you actually open the bag, you're not getting any of the tips, you're not getting the kick that you may be looking for.
Literally,
So yeah, don't get caught up with the looks, my people.
I
But
know.
so you grow simply for yourself, or you also supply to other growers like yourself or persons who want bud.
Yeah, no, I just pretty much grow for my personal consumption. I don't grow for anyone else. I don't sell. I'm not a caretaker. I don't supply dispensaries or anything like that. A lot of what I do is, home grows, and I do a lot of, sort of stuff on the ICANN THC channel and the Talking Law podcast. So we got a lot of guests on there, and we got a lot of videos that we post, with our grows, all the mistakes that I've made, I try to help other people not make those same mistakes. Because, like we mentioned, the patience, don't overwater your shit, don't overfeed it. Recently, I overfed my plants, so I just posted a video on there, and this is how overfed plants look. And it literally died within a couple days. So that's like a little bit of a reminder to people, go a little bit easier, don't go too hard, So that's pretty much what I do. I don't grow for anyone else except myself, and just to support my wife, my family, and stuff.
Awesome, awesome. So, in terms of the vision for ICANN TC, right now you're growing for yourself and you're learning the process. What are some of the things that you hope to see for the ICANN TC brand in years to come, or a couple months that is?
Well, I'm just excited to see where we go, man. We recently crossed 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, so that was a big achievement.
Awesome, man. Big up yourself.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So we've been doing pretty good on there. Today we had the 40th episode of the Talking Loud podcast. So that's 40 episodes deep. We're making a lot of good moves, man. So I'm just excited to see where it goes. I just my main goal, dude, honestly, is just to help as much people as I can in the community, because the community is such a great community, man. It's an understanding community. It's a supportive community. Don't get me wrong. There are haters in the community, but that's with every community. So, you just gotta
Yeah,
take the
true.
support and, roll with it, man. And that's literally what I'm doing. And I always try to give back. I always try to, just share from the knowledge, share from my experiences and stuff. And I think that that's what people sort of appreciate. So as long as I can give the content and people want to get it, then, I'm gonna be here, man. I'm gonna be here providing.
Yeah. You don't hear a lot of people say that, and like when I tell people the same explanation that you just gave, a lot of people they're confused, or they may tell me that go out for more, but sometimes your enjoyment is from the interaction, from learning and teaching others about your mistakes and what they could do.
Yeah, dude.
Sometimes it's not always about you, but it's always about building the community, and that's one
100%.
thing I love about this community as well. It's all about building and togetherness.
Yeah.
But there'll always be haters, but we tend not to focus on the negativity. We're focusing on the positive vibes, and looking to build with other people, man. That's all what it's all about.
Hell yeah. And I've met a lot of
So,
people, just online, just like yourself,
mhm,
man. Like we bounced up on Instagram, dude. And I've met a lot of other
right,
people out here,
right.
and they've become my friends. They become my homies. Kicking with the Dude Grows guys, just a couple of days ago, and just being able to build these relationships with people in the community, it's fucking awesome, man. Honestly, it's dope. So I just hope that that's what I keep doing, because people say it's all about the money. You're doing it for the money, but like people need to understand as well. YouTube advertisers, they don't like cannabis content, they don't like cannabis channels, they don't run ads on your channel, they demonetize your channel. We don't get paid from YouTube, so people think that it's all about the money. Well, it's actually not. I just keep doing it because I love the community, man. There's a lot of support we get from the community, and we've been having a blast doing it so far, so that's why I just keep doing it.
Exactly. I explain that to you. Same thing, man. It's all because Instagram. I believe Instagram doesn't push your content. YouTube
Dope.
wouldn't push your
Dope.
content. And I remember a couple of years ago, a lot of the persons that I used to watch on YouTube, they said that YouTube took down most of their content regarding cannabis. And
Yeah.
even now, there's still so many policies and laws in place on the
Yeah.
social media apps that you can't say the word. You have to use different language.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's limiting us as creators, because whether you're growing the plant, you're a critique of it, you are creative, and you're trying to tap into nature itself.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
it's a medicine. So when you do this, you're preventing people from getting the help that they actually need. But it's a big pharmacy industry, so they will
Yeah.
obviously try to protect their own interests, and that's why we need to stick together as a community and help each other build and help each other grow, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you talking about assisting others, do you plan on doing possibly a growing course or doing anything of the sort, or you're just focusing right now on your channel and using that as the platform for providing the education to people?
That's a great question, man. It did cross my mind, but there's so much free information out here. So what I try to do is give a lot of the growers free accessible content, and there's no one or right or wrong way to grow a plant. There's a lot of different ways you can
Hmm.
grow it. Some people grow organic, some people grow synthetic, DWC, RDWC. Some people do ebb and flow. Some people just have sip buckets. Like, there's a lot of different ways that you can grow. So when you really break it down, people will adopt their own spin on different techniques and make it their own. So what I try to do is bring a plethora of information just so that people could get different tips, different tricks from a lot of different people, including myself, and they can say, how can I use that in my grow? Because a lot of different people have different environments, and what may work for me, I may hang the plant up, cut it down by the stalk, hang it up completely whole. That may not work for someone in a super humid environment. They may have to cut it into smaller buds. So there's just a lot of differences. But one thing that I do love, man, and you did mention it a little bit before, is that when people come to you and they say, man, like, I've grown my first plant, seed to harvest, and I've finally harvested and I've had some awesome flower, man. Thank you, Matt. Like, you helped me through that whole friggin' harvest. Or they come and they say, I've learned how to grow my plant and I'm a medicinal user. I'm recovering from cancer and it's really helped me, just to be sustainable and all those stuff, man. That to me means a lot more than just anything else, man. That means just a lot to me. So those little things really go a long way, and it shows that there are benefits to the plant. A lot of the folks out here, they demonize it for whatever reason. They hate on it. Reefer madness back in the day and all that. Whatever it is, bro, they got an agenda against it. And even I've hearing recently, like, the whole drag why people are waiting on decriminalizing it fully in the US is, because people want to get their stuff in order, so people can do what they need to do and whatever. So it's always like a gimmick or something. But once you just strip all that away and you understand how beautiful the plant is, the benefits that you can get, and the great things that you can do, I think that it's fucking amazing, dude. So that's it for me right there. Those things really make me feel good at night.
Any passion and the passion is always flowing into me, and I hope it's flowing into the listeners as well. Who knows, we might get somebody trying their first grow after, so somebody saying, you know what, let me actually give cannabis a try and see the benefits there. Let me do some more reading, some more understanding, because these two men cannot be so passionate about something that's bad for them. So
Yeah,
I definitely need to find out what's making them so passionate and what's making them so happy about it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I thank you for sharing that little piece, man.
Oh yeah.
So in terms of we talking about our love and our passion, what are probably some of the your most favorite strains that you have grown so far, if
Uh,
you could name them?
good question. I've grown a couple ones that have stuck close to me, and one of them was actually a recent one called the Slippery Suzanne. That's by Exotic Genetics.
Mm.
That one has been nice. I've been smoking on that one recently, so that's fresh in my mind. But some of the older ones that I really did enjoy was like the Sugar Cane from In-House Genetics. That was a really nice one. And then I've done the OMFG from Qualitrips, and that one, it was also a fucking banger. So I think those three are probably my top three. And I've only one out of those three I got right now that I'm actually sampling still is the Slippery Suzanne. All the other ones are finished, and I'm wishing I still had them.
And what are like the main essentials that you would advise somebody who may decide to take up their first growing after this episode? Like, what would you advise them
Mm.
that they need to start with at least?
Most important thing is just to, I would say, just to make the decision that you're gonna do it, man. If you make the decision you're gonna do it, and you can, just put in the time, and it's not even that much time, but just make the commitment to do it. That's the first step. The next step would be to dedicate a little space, whether it's buying a grow tent, creating your own grow tent. When I was living in Trinidad, I created a grow tent out of PVC and roofing insulation, zip ties, and I had my
Ah,
own grow tent, man. Easy does it. And it could be simple as that. If you got an old closet, you can just throw a light in there. So the light will be the next thing. That's super important. That's probably the most important thing. A lot of people, living out in the Caribbean and stuff, it can be difficult to get lights. Like, even when I was getting lights in when I was living out there, the customs charge would be more than the friggin' light. Like, customs would,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
like
It's
even
crazy.
Airpost, man, they would me, bro. So I was like, okay, here's what's going on. I need to figure out ways that I can get like effective lights, and ones that are not big, heavy fixtures, because I'm shipping them in. And a lot of people who are listening to the show may be based in the Caribbean, so may be facing that same problem. So it's all nice and well to say, get a good light, but, I would say look for certain things with your light. So look for an external dimmer. That's always useful. That way you can turn the brightness up and down. So when you're in veg, you can turn it down, and when you're in flower, you can turn it up a little bit. If your plants are getting too tall, you can also turn it down a little bit. There are a lot of benefits when it comes to that. And you also want something that's full spectrum. So when my first grow light was one of the blurple grow lights, and then I had some of the HIDs, those big bulbs, the CMH light style lights. But there are a lot of more LED lights that now available that run super cool. They're very light, and you can get them for good prices. So I would say look for something that's full spectrum, that emits like that white light, and that's a lot better for your eyes and for the plants as well. So those are probably the main things. As you go on a little later on, you may want to pick up something like an inline fan, an exhaust filter, carbon setup. That'll sort of help scrub the air and keep the air clean and nice. It also helps recirculate the air and keep any pests from forming, any mold or mildew from forming as well. If you guys are out in the Caribbean, it's probably super humid, so that's always a good idea. That helped me to cut my humidity in the tent by about 20-30%. I ran a big 8-inch one. And if you guys are listening, Mars Hydro has some great ones, and the discount code ICANTHC will get you a little discount on some of those. I always like to help people out where I can. So those are probably what I would say, man. Those things for me are probably what I did to get my setup started. I did not fuss too much about a bunch of other fancy stuff. I did not even have a carbon filter and inline fan at first. All I had was oscillating fan, a desk fan I hung upside down in a closet, and a blurple light, and that was it. And you can start. You can start.
Community vision, as you said, and those main essentials. Before we sort of close, you touched on something important, which is the lighting, right? And you listed some of the types of lights, such as the full spectrum, the HID, etc. So, in terms of the different types of light,
Yeah.
what does name the main ones that people usually go for, and why people will go for them?
Okay, well, first off, a lot of people who see on the market, the blurper ones. Those are the ones that have the red spectrum and the blue spectrum. Those look very pretty when you're searching Amazon, so your eyes gets drawn to it. But don't get drawn to it, man. Stay away from it. It's older tech. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just older tech, and your eyes
Okay.
they don't really adjust well to it. It can cause problems to your eyes. So some of those ones they work, but just older tech. Some of the HID, those are high intensity discharge lights, and some of the what's the other one called? I can't even remember. CMH, that's ceramic metal halide. Those lights are also very good. A lot of people use those for flowering because they got a really rich spectrum for flowering. I've actually brought one down when I was in Trinidad and I used it, but the issue was that they put out a lot of heat. So in the Caribbean,
Mhm.
my grow room was already sitting at like 26 degrees with the AC on, but when I put that light in there, it soared up to like 40 degrees Celsius, so it's
Yeah.
pretty hot, man. And I could not do anything. I could not keep the closet doors closed. I could not even like really operate in the room. I could not sit down on my computer in the room because it was just so friggin' hot. So those lights are again a little bit older tech, but when we're out in Colorado and in places that have winter and stuff, a lot of people use those lights for winter. They actually call them the winter lights. So again, it depends on where you're at, what light suits your grow. But if you're out in the Caribbean like I was, I would say go LED. If you're even out in a lot of the other places around the world, LEDs work fine. Some LEDs do still put out a little bit of heat. So if you're worried about it getting too cold, maybe don't worry about it that much. It probably wouldn't get too cold. But those higher discharge lights put out a lot of heat, and they're most likely what you would have seen in a lot of pictures with commercial setups. A lot of commercial setups had a lot of those sort of CMH lights, and they put out a slightly different spectrum. If you take a photo in it, it almost looks like very yellow. So that's just a way that you can tell what a grower is using by the photo they take.
Yo, like, a wealth of knowledge, people, a wealth of knowledge, and this is the type of episodes you need to have your notebooks in. But thankfully, we're in the modern age, so you could always replay these episodes later on and get the information, get the knowledge. so that you can go and start your own
Yeah.
grow. Start a tent, or if you don't have a tent, as Matt said, some PVC pipe and some roof insulation, and you're good to go. It's a start. And as you said, don't worry about how it's looking, the aesthetic, and these different things. Worry about the care that you're giving into the plant, the nutrients that you're feeding it, and give it love.
Yeah.
If each of us living beings, we need love, so a plant is no different,
Oh
man.
yeah.
So thanks for going into that little segment focusing on lights for
For
us.
sure.
Sometimes I wish we could sit down here and we could talk all day and listen, because I love learning, and I'm sure everybody loves learning, and we could do this all day. These are things that we could always talk about, and there's so much to actually talk about. But as we look to wrap up, we always love to get some, I would say, don't want to say personal question, but just getting a little insight as to who we are behind our crafts. So when you are not being the master grower at ICANN THC, what are some of the things that you do in your free time to pass as a hobby?
Honestly, bro, wow. Well, I feel like I spent all my free time on ICANN. Like I feel like I spent all my free time on ICANN. Like it's honestly like one of those moments when you're working for someone and you're in a job and you're working for like a company or something, and you clock out at 5 p.m. and you go home and you kick your feet up and you don't got to worry about them till tomorrow, or if it's the weekend, I'll see you on Monday. But for me now, it's my own business, dude. It's my own channel. It's my own baby. It's my blood, sweat, and tears, dude. So I spend a lot of time on it. I'm constantly, figuring out how to improve, constantly thinking out what sort of content I can create next, what sort of video I can come out with next. If a day or two passes and I have not dropped anything, I start to get a little bit tizzic. I'm like, God, I gotta drop something, bro. So it's really, really, a full time job. But other than that, I love football, man. I love football. People call it soccer or whatever, but I love football. I'm a huge fan. I play a lot of it, and I haven't played in a couple of months. I actually went out just yesterday and raised some ball in the park. Just raise some ball, do a little around the world and thing. But everything was everything was good, man. I enjoyed that shit. I haven't done it in a while. And yeah, I think one thing that I really wanted to just touch on quickly as well, man, is that I went out to a couple conferences and stuff, and I know you wanted to talk about that. So I had a really interesting time at some of these conferences simply because we mentioned how great the community is, man, and how far things have come. So if I could just bring things back full circle in our chat today, um, the thing I would say is that when you have jumped into the industry a little bit, and I'm not even really in the industry like that, but when you get into it a little bit more and you start to understand, you really know how far we've come as like a community, as an industry. Long gone are the days when people have to set up plywood grow operations and shit. A lot of places it's legal. So nowadays a lot of companies are being set up where they have ingenious tools, ingenious pieces of equipment for commercial grow setups. So I went out there and I was able to see some of these big terpene extraction machines. I was able to see some of these big trimming machines with bladeless trimmers. It's really, really a sight to see, man. And even just stepping it up a notch and seeing how some people package their flour and stuff. So, got a lot of different types of packaging. It's all about making it airtight and available to the consumer. So it's really just great to see how far it's come, from just being the thing that no one wanted to talk about, and everyone is like, if you do that, you're completely fucked and your life is on in a mess and all that stuff. But now other people are actually making businesses out of it, making a career out of it, and in a lot of different fields, man. So that's really pleasing to see, dude. Really pleasing to see.
So, well, what are some of the new things that they are looking to bring out in the industry, some of these main talking points across in America? Because usually what's happening in America, as we just say, once America sneezes, we in the Caribbean, let's catch a cold. So, like what's happening there and new things that we could look for?
Well, there's definitely some good stuff, man. So, like, even when it comes to drying and curing, some of the Grove bags, I got a video going to release on that a couple of days. Those are really great. So you can get rid of grandma's old jars. Storing jars for curing can be painful, man. I got a bunch of big jars. Storing those when you don't got flour in them is painful. So some of those Grove bags, that's pretty cool. There's some stuff on the commercial level, so some big extractor fans that blow 360 degrees of air all around. There was the new Grow Dots product which came out from Recharge, Scotty, Real Growers Recharge. There's a lot of different things, man. And when I'm talking about a lot of different things in the commercial side of things, there's like a lot of different things. They're figuring out how to integrate vertical farming, so you can use a lot more space with just having all your plants on lifts. And even when you're drying your flower, you have them on lifts that go like 50 feet up into the air. So it's a lot of different things that are happening, and I'm really excited to see how far it goes. And a lot of the things I think are getting computer based as well. So a lot of people I've spoken to recently, they're taking their stuff online. It's all about collating the data, collating that data, or whatever you want, however you want to call it. And they pretty much are figuring out how to store these terpene profiles and figure out how to merge different combinations to get the exact cross or the exact flavor profile that they're looking for based on different things. So all these things, man, it's really crazy. And sometimes I hear what people say and I'm just mind blown. So I'm excited to see what happens and how far it goes. I really am.
If you are mind blown, imagine what's happening to us on the side of the field, man. So, but I heard you mention the vertical growth. So is that similar to hydroponics, or that's a different method of growing?
Similar in the sense that you're growing vertically up, but it's different in that it's a complete mechanicalized system. So like someone presses a button and the whole arm moves like 50 horizontal levers up. And you can now walk underneath it. You can move around it and stuff. It's the whole thing is mechanically operated. It moves, and they can move it around in the grow room in the commercial space, so it helps to maximize space in a commercial setup. Because in these commercial setups, they got a lot of plants, they got a lot of infrastructure. It's all about maximizing space and flipping turnover and all that shit. So that's just pretty cool, man. I mean, it's not something that's necessarily that you and I will go out and get this big ass thing that probably can't even fit in our house, but it's pretty cool just to see how far people have come and like what's happening.
That's great, man. And as you're talking about how far we've come, and where short we are now, there's always a bit of disparity for persons regarding the commercialization of the
Yeah.
plant compared to how we would have handled the plant traditionally years before. And what's your thoughts on the use of commercializing the plant and the different mechanics compared to handling the plant in not fully traditional but more away from all of the heavy
Yeah, I got
mechanics?
I got what you're saying, bro. Fully. Like, I actually did recorded a video today. It's not posted yet, but it's on one of the new AC Infinity 19-inch bowl trimmers. Right, it's a big bowl trimmer. Put your flower in it and you spin it around like this. Got a blade and some plastic brushes and whatever that sort of spin. And it is great to see that there are like these innovative things that are coming out for not just the home grower but also on commercial levels as well. But what I've realized is that because they've got such scale, it takes out a little bit of the love and care that you really put into it, man. So, for example, with that bowl trimmer, I found that I got some nice buds. They cut off some of the long sugar leaves and some of the fan leaves, and it looks okay. But then I got some other buds that looked like they were fucking botched, dude. Like someone pulled up and was like, "Yo, you got a big nug? Like, give me half of that. Let me get a piece of that, and pull out." And like, bro, so where's your what like that's that after growing your flower for months, like that's not what you want to do with it, bro. So honestly, I think there's a time and place for it. Some of the machines are getting really good, and they work out good, and for dispensaries and stuff and places that have flower on such large scale where it's just not possible to be paying everyone to come in and hand trim, or it just takes too long. Like, I'm gonna lie, the bowl trimmer, I trim my flower in like 10 seconds, do trimmed, but you did sacrifice some quality. So I think there still is a place for everything. I still think there's a place for those hand trimmers to come in and properly manicure the flowers, so you can get some stuff that looks like top shelf award winning flower. That I just feel good when my flower looks like that, dude. I grew it. It looks good. Sometimes I don't even cut off the sugar leaves. I leave it right there. When I'm gonna roll it up, I'll take that off, and I just look at the bud, and it looks freaking amazing, and I'm happy. But now I got some of that sort of botched lemon pie thing, and I gotta go and smoke it. Bro, I'm talking about, like, I literally picked up the bud and I'm seeing the main stem through the middle, dude. It's like, yeah, like a bud that's got fucking uh I don't know, patches of hair, like but we went somewhere. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
not looking good.
But I agree. Like a couple of years back, I was against the commercialization of it, but as I begin to learn more, meet different people and hear what's actually happening and seeing it with my own eyes, there's a balance,
Yeah,
as you said, and you need to understand how it works because trying to hand trim like pounds and pounds
yeah,
of herb, it's crazy, it's crazy. So it will take a lot more time. You're going to spend more money because of the human
yeah,
resources. So it's all about finding the balance so that you could love and care for the plant, but you also you make your life a bit
yeah,
easier. And I guess that's what we are as humans. We will always look for ways to make our lives easier, and that's totally fine and totally
yeah.
understandable. So it's that time and place, as you said, man. Time
Yeah,
and
I
place.
fully believe in that, and I fully endorse that. Because I was the same way as you, man. I was like, "Oh man, look at this fucking big corp coming in the weed business. Like, what the fuck are you niggas trying to do, bro? Like, come on, dude." But then, like, you're like, "Okay, they're doing it for a reason." And when I go out to the dispensary now, and and I'm able to get some of this high grade, but it's popcorn nugs. Some of the smaller nugs, and at the end of the day, those nugs were probably passed through like an easy trimmer or whatever, one of those big trimming machines, and I'm here consuming it. So all that plays into why I was able to get it for $50 for the ounce. Because they were able to cut their costs at some point down the line, and I'm able to receive those benefits as well. What really bothers me is when they come in and it's all about the profit and everything for profit, and fuck the grower, fuck the smoker. I'm just a guy with a suit that comes in here. Maybe it's a good idea to take a joint of mids and roll it in some rosin and then roll it in some keef and sell it to these guys. Like always, it's all a money grab sometimes. So that's what pisses me off. But there's a time and place, and once you can understand, that balance and how it works and shit, I think you'll just be a little bit more accepting with yourself and all the shit that happens.
Matakin, thank you more for coming on and giving us all your experience, your stories, as well as the knowledge, man. It's definitely something that we all need to do and continuously build within our community because nobody else will do it for us. We really need to get out there and
Yeah.
do it so that we can get the support. But before we close, like, what's one thing you will want to leave with our listeners apart from the million and one pieces of knowledge and nuggets that you dropped to us before?
Just keep on growing, man. Don't let anyone bring you down. Like I've faced a lot of it. I still do face it, just having to hide, just that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, if it's something that makes you happy and you see a benefit in it, go for your dreams, go for your goals, and don't let anyone pull you away from those goals, because at the end of the day, you never know where you can turn out, you never know where you can turn out, and how things can turn out. So just keep on grinding, man. And yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, follow me on Instagram and YouTube. Yeah.
Definitely. And where can they find you? I'm sure they will want to reach out for more
Oh, for sure,
information
man. I'm
on
super
your
open,
YouTube
and,
and
and like
Instagram
if
page.
anyone's got questions, you can hit me an Instagram message or an email or whatever. I'm always down to help you out if you got any issues with your grow. I try to help as much as I can. But you can check me out on YouTube. You can just type in I Can THC, and the I Can THC channel will come up. We've also got the Talking Loud podcast. We post every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can catch us kicking it with a different guest there. I'd love to have you on the show. Do it if you're down. That'd be awesome. And we're
For
also on
sure, for
Instagram,
sure.
dude. So check us out on Instagram. Instagram has been on one lately. They've been deleting accounts. They've purged a lot of people this morning. So
Yeah, today I saw so many people accounts going. I was thankful that my
me
account was
too,
still
dude.
intact, man.
I woke up and I was like, okay, last night I had 4,040 followers. This morning I have like 3,000 something. Like, what the fuck? What happened?
They cut, yeah. I saw it too.
Yeah,
I just thought it was bots. I thought it was bots leaving my page. I was like, okay, but it's kind of plenty
yeah.
for bots. But then I saw they really
Yeah.
something that accounts were being suspended, accounts were
Purge on
deleted.
Halloween,
So
bro.
that's
Purge on
crazy, man. That's crazy.
Halloween. That shit going on, dude. So I'm grateful I still got my shit. So follow me on there, man. And I got a backup account. Follow that as well. And I'm always down to help you guys. So, thanks a lot for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming and
Hell yeah.
meditating and educating with us here on the Caribbean Cannabis channel. You could always keep in touch with us on Instagram at the Caribbean Cannabis Podcast 420, as well as Facebook, the Caribbean Cannabis channel. And while you are listening to us on our podcast, the Caribbean Cannabis channel podcast. So once again, my people, thank you for joining us and look forward to more episodes as we look to grow together.
Hell yeah.